Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. David Hooper, and this is another episode of the Unstoppable Introvert Project. And today is a special one. Today, I am launching a brand new business, and that business is called Lunala AI, and it is a AI peak performance consultancy, and I am so excited to be getting back in the game, getting back in that entrepreneurship game. It's been a long time coming. It's been the best part of 18 months since I closed the business with my good friend Rob, and now I'm back and I feel so pumped, so ready and refreshed. And today I'm going to be introducing exactly how AI can help you reach that peak performing state. And yeah, it's going to be a game changer for so many people. But it's not been easy to get to this point, and I will tell you how I have got to this point. But it's been it's been tough. It's been tough. There's been some ups, some downs, some backwards, some sideways, and now we are here. And it's launch day, and we are getting after it. And yeah, like I say, I'm so ready to go and help people achieve their dreams with this business. So yeah, Lunala AI has been in the works for about 18 months, and it hasn't always been a business. It's been me learning and developing around AI and what AI looks like and the parts of AI I'm interested in and how to apply AI, and combining that with peak performance or high performance or being the best version of yourself. That is just right up my street. So when there was an opportunity to create something for you guys that will hopefully help you become less than the 1% of the world that is using AI to enable yourselves to reclaim time, make better decisions, perform at a higher standard, and just create that space for your strategic thinking or even personal pursuits, depending on what you want to get done. So I'm so excited to welcome you to the show. I'm so excited to share this new business with you. But this isn't just about launching a business. This is about where the opportunities are for you to use AI in your lives. And there's so many ways AI can help us when it comes to figuring out what is a challenge, what we can do to develop, what we can do to improve our businesses, how we can improve our relationships. It all kind of links up together. But I'm going to start with a question for you all. And that is, what does a tractor, emails, LinkedIn, and artificial intelligence all have in common? I'll have a quick slug of my decaf coffee before I give you the answer. What does a tractor, emails, LinkedIn, and AI have in common? And I know what you're thinking immediately. Not much. Not much, right? And I get that completely. Basically, all of those four pieces of new technology split the nation. On one side, a lot of people were very excited about the thought of this new technology. But on the other side, a lot of people were worried about this new technology and scared about losing their jobs, about going through change, about the new world that they were about to enter. So let's talk through that then. So tractors were invented roughly in the 1800s, right? Just after the first motor cars. And when a tractor was first presented to farmers, the farm workers who maybe worked in the fields and reaped the crops and all that sort of stuff, were like, hold on, if this tractor takes the job of these 50 people, what are we all going to do? And the world adapted. They went and got different jobs. Sure, there was people who struggled to get those jobs, but the majority were able to adapt, and they became farm managers, or they went to work in shops. And instead of doing the day-to-day picking of the crops, they now manufactured them or cleaned them, or, whatever the next step in that process was. And now it would be very strange to look out of a window and see 40, 50, 60 people in a field reaping the crops. Whereas we look at a tractor and go, yeah, that's completely normal. I wouldn't expect anything else. And that is exactly the same as AI, but we'll get to that in a second. The second one is emails. Now, emails were created roughly again between the 1970s and the 1990s. Different formats were used. And CEOs and founders and office workers initially resented sending virtual letters. They thought, what's the point? I don't want to read off a computer screen. I don't want to send something into the ether and not know where it's going. I want a hard copy. I want a letter, and I want to write it in ink, and I want to send it via a postman to the other person. Again, nowadays, imagine a business without emails, or not even just a business, anybody. My mum sends me emails every day with the craziest things that she's found whilst searching the internet, videos, and normally stuff about hay fever. So imagine emails weren't a thing now, and we had to deliver everything by hand. It was a written letter. You just can't imagine what that would be like, can you? It's just a different world. The next one, LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is part of obviously social media, but is predominantly a business transactional platform. And again, when social media was created back in the mid 2000s, this was something that was scoffed at by business owners. No, I'm never going to use social media for my business. That's just never going to take off. It's for kids. Even lately with TikTok, I still hear people say TikTok's just for 12-year-old girls who dance. And I'm like, wow, that is not the case. TikTok's one of the biggest platforms for business transactions these days. So now, imagine a business that doesn't have LinkedIn. Every business in the world has LinkedIn. And if it doesn't, that should be a red flag for you in terms of how up to date it is. And even vice versa, I've talked to so many employers who now think if you don't have a LinkedIn profile as an individual, they wouldn't hire you. Because again, it means you aren't showing that you are digitally proficient, and that you may not be able to use the digital technologies that a business may need you to use. So again, social media underpins most of our business transactions these days. Certainly things like networking and getting in touch with people. You can hit a lot more people than by going to networking events. So it's really interesting, isn't it, how that has progressed. And that brings us to AI, or artificial intelligence. And this is where people are at now. They are split. They are thinking it'll never last. It'll be a fad. It will fade away eventually, and we'll get back to normality. If history is anything to go by, and it's normally a good insight into what is going on, it is not going anywhere. Artificial intelligence is here. It's here to stay. And it's a case of you need to gain an understanding of this as quickly as possible. So one, you can get the competitive edge for your business. If you don't have a business, it's about getting the personal edge for yourself. And all it takes is 20 hours. So research has shown that if you spend 20 hours, you can get a better than average understanding of a topic or a concept. And that's how I started with AI back in 2023, early 2023. It was January 2020. As I've mentioned on this podcast before, I decided after closing down the legacy partnership with my good friend Rob that I would have a year of self-development. So I spent time getting into acting. I spent time getting fit and healthy. I spent time with my family, and I also spent time learning about AI and what the capabilities were. And I have done a whole load of things with that. I created an ebook. I didn't do anything with it. It's just here. I didn't sell it or anything, but I created an ebook. I've created a lot of my podcast content is created with AI in terms of things like show notes and like clipping the long form content into the short form content. It's been a lifesaver. It's been so good for me, trying to produce as much content as I can. That's really helped. I've also done things like, I've played around with like creating songs and videos and artwork and all these different things. And it's been a really interesting ride. And I've got to the point now where I'm a lead for my department in AI. I've started to speak at multiple conferences around AI. And I feel like I'm at that tipping point where I can go from learning about AI to actually being a leader in AI, and combining that with peak performance, like I've mentioned, is incredibly exciting. So that's where Lunala AI came from, and that's where we're at today. So up to you guys. It's not a sink or swim situation yet, but I've heard some talks from some key leaders like Gary Vaynerchuk, who has kind of said AI might not be the thing that replaces your job, but the people who know about AI will be the ones who take your job, which is quite a daunting thing, isn't it? It's like, oh, right, okay, so it's not the AI that's the threat here. It's humans who know about AI, which is the threat. So that is really, really interesting, I think. But if you haven't come across artificial intelligence, this basically refers to machines that mimic human cognitive functions, like learning or problem solving. And AI uses complex algorithms to analyze data, to analyze patterns, and then to predict the AI thinks is the next logical word or solution or outcome of whatever it's been asked to do, just like a human would. We think about things and go, okay, I think this might be the answer. AI does exactly the same. Now, there is a subsection of AI, things like automation and machine learning, which is a little bit more back and forward in terms of automated responses, and a lot of things have been programmed into it. The higher level of AI is where the computers or machines start to think for themselves and get to the point of the answer by themselves with very little prompting. So that's kind of the landscape. Again, if you're brand new to AI, there's 4 key areas you need to be aware of, and that are text-to-text AI, text-to-speech AI, text-to-image AI, and text-to-video AI. And what that means is you use text or prompts to create either more text or speech or images or videos. Now, there's some awesome videos that have been released in the past 6 to 8 months by companies showing the power behind these 4 areas. So the first one was by the company that created ChatGPT, and this was OpenAI, and they created something called Sora, which is a text to video AI. Just put into YouTube Sora AI video, and what you will see is mind blowing. So on that video, you're going to see one line of text, and what is produced is a short film that would have usually taken hours and hours and a full production team to create. And they're able to do this with a click of a button. It's as quick as that. And that technology is growing every single day. Now, this is where things like the acting strikes happened last year, because people were seeing this and going, well, actually, why do we need actors or producers or directors? Actually, we could just create incredible movies with AI, and we don't need actors anymore. Now, I love acting and the whole world of acting, the thespian world. And that to me is like, no, we can't lose that. So I think the boundaries are still being drawn here when it comes to what is ethical in AI, what can it be used for, what can't it be used for. But for the most part, you can use AI to be very productive and high performing, and that's going to help your business in so many ways. So that's a bit of the landscape. The other thing I wanted to mention is another video that I would really recommend you watch. And this is about, well, it's called Figure One. So a company created Figure One, which is a robot looking thing. It looks like C3PO of Star Wars. It's freaky. It gives you the chills, right? It gave me the chills. I remember watching this video and thinking, oh my God, like the robots are coming. We're all doomed. But we're, of course, not at that stage yet. And basically, this robot has got something called speech to speech AI. So I know I didn't mention that in the four that I just gave. This is the next part of the development. This isn't quite live yet, but this is coming soon, where you're able to talk directly to AI and it talks back to you. And what this company has done is put the AI into a robot looking thing. And Elon Musk is doing this as well. He's created some robots that do this type of thing, but it's called Figure One on YouTube. And it's asked questions and it answers them and it thinks about them and it makes the right choice. So for one example, it's standing in front of a table and it has an apple, it has some rubbish, and it has some dishes. And it's told that the person is hungry and could it provide some food for it? And it seamlessly selects the apple and passes it on, and then the person starts to eat the apple. And it's like, wow, how did you know which one of those things was the apple? You know, it's mind blowing. And then there's another example, which is using one of those coffee machines, like an espresso machine. Shout out to Espresso there, free plug. And it's one of those ones where it has the capsule, right? And basically, the AI or Figure One initially struggled to put the capsule in the coffee maker because of the way its thumbs were going down, but it learned to turn its thumb and it would just slot in. That sounds very basic, right? But the key thing here is that the AI learned by itself. Nobody said, Figure One, you need to turn your robot hand. It realized that its thumb was in the way and that it had to turn its hand. And that is the creepy bit for me, where it is literally learning. And to be honest, there's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. It's more that this is actually a really clever thing that humans have created. And just to give you an idea of the IQ level, it's about Einstein level. So Einstein has an incredibly high IQ, and in a year or two's time, artificial intelligence's IQ will be 10 times what Einstein's was. So it's a fast learner. It's a fast learner, and it can recall this information in a quarter of a second. So this is where we're at. And we're at a place called singularity. And singularity is a physics term. And I'm not going to bore you with physics because I am not smart enough to know about it. But basically, singularity means that we are at the point of not knowing what happens next. And this is the Oppenheimer moment. Or at least we're approaching the Oppenheimer moment. If you've seen that film with Cillian Murphy, which is obviously just won a load of Oscars for, have a watch of it if you haven't seen it. There's a moment in the film where Cillian Murphy or Oppenheimer is asked, when I press this button and detonate this bomb, is it going to blow up the world? And Cillian Murphy or Oppenheimer says, probably not. But he didn't know. The world could have literally lit on fire and burned to a crisp. And we're at that point now. It's that black hole moment where we know about black holes, but we don't know what's through them yet. we're there with AI. Are we going to be in a position where AI does take over the world and humans are no longer needed? Hopefully not. Hopefully we always are able to provide some value. Or is this the part where we partner with AI and we're able to live incredibly fruitful and fulfilling lives together in harmony, where they are doing some incredible things and developing stuff like cures for cancer, or helping people with disabilities, or making your lives more enjoyable? Hopefully it's that one. But we have to work together as a human race to make sure that that happens. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I'm getting ahead of myself. That is not our job to think about. We aren't in charge of that. The only thing that I'll bring to your attention is that recently the UN, the United Nations, recently passed a bill talking about ethical AI and the types of things that we can do or not do. So the governance is starting to lock into place, if you like. So yeah, that's just a bit of background for you. But what does this actually mean for you, and what does this mean for Lunala AI? Well, firstly, my ambition for this company was to create a new niche, if you like. I love peak performance and high performance and self-development, and I love AI, and I wanted to bring those two together to help businesses, to help individuals really thrive and achieve the greatest version of themselves. That's the goal here. And like I say, this has been a long time coming. I've had to overcome a lot of imposter syndrome. It's a new topic for me in a way. Yes, I've been looking into this for the past 18 months and really have immersed myself into this, and I do a lot of talks on this now. But I'm known for more personal development stuff, and I'm not losing that, that's for certain. I still love all of that type of thing. So it was important for me to combine this. And then it was trying to figure out what people really struggle with. And there's a lot of things AI can help with. But for me, time is a big one that I come across a lot. I haven't got time to build my business. I haven't got time to put out a podcast. I haven't got time to create the content. And if I can help you achieve that, then that is what this is all about. And if I can help you build your business through that, even better. So my official tagline is that we help executives, founders, and CEOs catapult themselves into the top 0% of high-performing leaders using AI, enabling them to reclaim 1 to 2 days of valuable time each week for strategic thinking and personal pursuits. And that's the goal with the business. And we are so excited to be doing that. But in terms of other problems that I think AI can help with, time is obviously the big one that I've talked about, whether it's kind of finding a busy balance in a busy schedule, or maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed by the demands of leadership. It's a real challenge. And then that whole lacking time to be working on your business instead of in your business is something that I really understand. Now, just to give you an example, my podcast, I put out 2 podcasts a week. Both, well, depends if I have guests, but that's about 2 to 3 hours of recording each week, which is quite a lot. Then I have the editing of the actual footage. Then I have the clipping of the footage. Then I have the show notes, the chapters, the marketing posts, all of that type of stuff. And I'm probably forgetting about a few things as well. But what AI allowed me to do was to create an amazing package for guests. So when my guests come on, they get a recording of the long form video, they get the transcript of the entire thing, they get the audio file, they get normally about 10 short form clips for the social media, they get the marketing posts as well, they get the thumbnail, they get thumbnail for YouTube, thumbnail for social media. They also get reviews and testimonials from me as well. And initially, that couldn't have happened without AI. It would have just been too much work. But now I'm in a position where everything's sped up. So when I first started this podcast, it would take me about 5 hours to edit a 35-minute podcast, and I would do it manually. I would then have to try and write the show notes myself and try and pick out the key chapters. And that took hours. It really did take hours. Now I use AI, and while the AI is editing the podcast, it's also writing all of that for me, my show notes and my chapters and all those different things. And what that means is I can now create 3 hours worth of podcasts in about 2 hours, which is madness considering how long it took me in the beginning. I was, really, it's changed my life in a lot of ways, because I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and editing those podcasts till 9 o'clock. And then I was going to work and then doing a full day of work and then coming home and tidying up anything that I hadn't quite finished. And quite often the podcasts would go into like a second day of editing. So it's crazy, really, the time that it saved just me. I had a really nice comment from a friend of mine on LinkedIn, Sheila, who said something like, I'm one of the hardest working people on LinkedIn. And I think I am, definitely. But I'm also implementing tools and AI to help me be the hardest working person on there. I'm producing so much content. I've filmed 15 episodes across 5 or 6 countries over the past few weeks. I've done my own podcasts as well alongside of that. And this is all down to me incorporating AI into what I'm doing. So yeah, that might be something that AI could help with. We then have something called decision fatigue, where you just are sick of making those decisions that you have to make as a leader. And it can be so tiring, the worry about a decision, the feeling of uncertainty, the consequences of those decisions. And AI can help with that as well. As simply as opening up ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever LLM or AI you like to use, and just going and asking the questions that you're struggling with. And it can really help you narrow down what it is that you need help with, or the best solution. So for me, I had a couple of ways to go with this business. I used ChatGPT to help me figure out my I help statement and what I actually really wanted to help people overcome and achieve. And I'd been sitting on that for a few weeks. I'd been sitting thinking that I just couldn't get to the answer, basically. But I started to engage with AI a little bit more, started to use it to ask it questions, and it allowed me to get to that point of, right, I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I can get confidence in that, and I can take it forward. So it really helps with that decision fatigue, I find. We've then got work-life balance, obviously, and this relates to time a little bit. The first thing is that, yes, it gives you more time. So you might be able to see your family a bit more and do those personal things or hobbies or pursuits or adventures that you want to do. The other side is that you can use AI to do things like plan trips, plan workout schedules, get a nutritional breakdown, get advice around the stock market, get movie advice or recommendations. You can actually use AI in your personal lives. And a really great example of where the future is going is, imagine that maybe you've got a kid and they're turning 8 on Friday, but you haven't planned anything. Work's got on top of you, but you haven't managed to get organized for your kid's 8th birthday party. They're having a sleepover, and they've got 6 friends coming. 2 have allergies, a nut allergy. 2 have nut allergies, 1's a vegan. So you've got all sorts to think about. And also, you need food during the day, you need food to snack on, you need kind of treats for them, and you might need party games or things to keep them entertained with during the day and during the night. And then you need a healthy breakfast for them in the morning before you send them back to their own houses. So what does that mean in the future? Basically, what you're going to do is say, hey Alexa, or hey Google, or whoever you have in your house, I've got my 8-year-old's birthday party on Friday. I haven't got a cake yet, but I know he likes chocolate. Can you order me a cake from the local cake shop to be delivered by Friday? Also, we're having a sleepover party. I need food that is appropriate for 2 people with nut allergies, 1 vegan, and 3 other children. I need a main meal, some snacks, and some treats. And I also need a healthy breakfast for them in the morning. Can you write a shopping list for me and order it from Morrison's or Waitrose or Asda? And I need it to be delivered by Friday. And lastly, I need some ideas for party games. Can you go on Amazon and order me the top 3 party games that are listed on Amazon? And by the way, my budget for all of this is £250. Thanks, Alexa. And then you would go on about your day, and Alexa would order all the food, order all the toys, order all the bits and pieces, and it would arrive to your door on Friday. You didn't even need to leave the house, and you are now organized for your kid's birthday party. So that's the future. That's coming. That's all down to AI, and that's the next step. So it might start to be in your life a little bit outside of work as well. We then have competitive pressure, and this is where you need to stay up to date with what's going on in the market because everybody else is. There is businesses that are in your sector that will start today, incorporate AI, and overtake you in the next 3 years. How crazy is that? If you don't engage with AI, I see it all the time. People who are stubborn and stuck in their ways get left behind. And again, that is just what history tells us. Leadership challenges are another one you could think about. Leading a team, again, giving them more ownership and using AI as a bit of a middleman when it comes to them asking questions. And maybe you've got a meeting with somebody, you could get them to engage with AI and ask AI all the questions that they want to ask. And then they could bring that information to you after that. And you could have a much richer, more impactful conversation. So start to see where this might work itself into you. We've then got productivity. So, if you are struggling to create X, Y, and Z, it will rapidly increase your productivity. From if it's content creation, like my example, or perhaps it's more getting in touch with clients or working on your behalf, AI can do that as well. There are companies which have created AI, which reach out to you on social media, which comment on your behalf on social media, which I'm not 100% certain on because there's been some bad examples of that. If it works in a good way, great. But I've seen where AI's commented on inappropriate posts and not realized, and it doesn't make you look very good. So, but that will develop over the time as well. These are just early models. We then have innovation barriers. So if you're struggling to come up with like a new product, or if you're just feeling like things are out of date and you want advice on how to improve what you do, guess what? AI can do that as well. Maybe some strategic planning. Making time to plan for your year is one of the things that a lot of people struggle with, right? Carving that time out and then revisiting those goals. AI can plan out your Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. You could give it information around the goals you're trying to set. The one thing I would say on this is that AI isn't always confidential. So just be mindful of the information you're putting into AI. If you're able to download an LLM onto your computer, which would be a local GPT, you can use confidential information because it's not going anywhere. It's just sitting on your laptop. But if you're using one on the web, just be mindful about the types of information that you're using or copying and pasting into that because you never know who can look at it. So yes, strategic planning, that could be a real help for you as well. Personal growth, my whole bag around peak performance and self-development and finding opportunities for you to grow. AI can act as your very own coach, therapist, counselor, and provide you with some really interesting advice around how you could grow. Even if it's just identifying areas that you would like to develop, this is something you might want to have a go at. Then lastly, number 10, stress and burnout. I think we're all stressed and anxious and burnt out in the workplace, aren't we? I certainly am. And you can feel overwhelmed a lot. I did a podcast just the other day, I think it was last week, that was focusing on dealing with overwhelm, because I have been dealing with overwhelm. I've got some big goals and I'm getting after them, but it is hard and it is scary. I have the podcast that's going great. I've got this business now that I want to push. I do have a full-time job. I've got a family. I'd like to keep pursuing my acting stuff. I'm trying to get in great shape this year. There's all sorts going on. I've been feeling very, very overwhelmed. But AI was able to help me with that, come to some conclusions and take major, major action. So if you're struggling to maintain that well-being, AI can certainly help with that as well. So I hope this has been interesting. I hope this has given you an idea as well of what Lunala AI is going to be all about. I'm so excited to launch this business, and remember, you can join the waiting list now. So we're going to start taking clients in about 3 weeks. And so this is 3 weeks from today. And the date today, let me just check, is the 29th of April. So if it's after the 29th of April, the waiting list is open. You can sign up and you can get in touch with us and we can start to, help you become a higher performing person and become one of that 0.1% of those who are using AI. And I'm so excited to take you on this journey with me. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to subscribe on Spotify. Give us a rating as well if you don't mind. It really helps us grow the channel. And remember to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok at Dr. David Hooper. And you can find me on YouTube as well. But remember, being an introvert isn't the thing that will hold you back. It is the thing that is going to allow you to perform at your highest potential. Until next time, stay unstoppable.